So one of the other parameters we have to take into account when we're looking at disciples, deciders, distractors is the concept of hurt, healing, and healthy. Because the reality is that everybody has a different starting point. If somebody's been raised in a Christian home, their parents are legitimately moving forward on a regular basis, and that kid finally says, okay, Jesus, I'm in, let's go, and they haven't picked up a lot of baggage along the way, they might be that healthy disciple at the very beginning. If a student has not grown up in a good setting where they've just been exploded by horrific events and trauma and all kinds of issues, when they get to that point of saying yes to Jesus, they won't start at the same starting point, nor will they progress at the same pace. So you have to understand hurt, healing, and healthy. Otherwise, you under-challenge a disciple and they become the disciple who's a distractor, or you over-challenge a new disciple and they give up because you've made something impossible for them because of where they started from. And so that's the challenge we look at. So I'll just give you an example to kind of illustrate how that works. Oftentimes I'm working with all three. That would be typical actually to have all three at any one time. And in this particular group, we were making bracelets that would be used on a mission project. Wasn't so much a preach time, it's just kind of a service time. So we're putting these bracelets together and they share the gospel. And so we put together about 1,000 of them, which is a big deal for them. Wow, 1,000, that's really gonna help a lot of people. Yeah, awesome, way to go, guys. And so because this was a disciple group, but I did have hurt, healing, and healthy in that group. So I remember for the hurt ones, just the fact that they had helped make 1,000 of them, that's all they needed. They were able to walk away going, wow, I did something for the kingdom. And that's all it took. Now, the healing ones would say, can I have one? I want to see if I can tell my friends about Jesus. Can I have 2 or 3? I think I've got some friends to give some to. Yes, they're healing. Not a big project. You know, a maybe, an if, they're going to try, and they can have a win with that. So they go. Then you get your 5 healthy disciples. And you kind of eyeball to eyeball with them and goes, okay, guys, I want you to take 10. And in the next couple of weeks, and talk to me how it goes, but I want you to take 10 each and see if you can find either 10 friends, 10 neighbors, 10 strangers that you can share the gospel with based on this. See the different levels, hurt, healing, healthy? You have to always take that into account so that, you don't under-challenge or over-challenge, because either one can work both ways. If somebody's going to end up being a professional boxer and they begin that process, oftentimes their first fight, and I'm not kidding, their first fight is against a drunk who they pay to get in the ring. Second fight is against the drunk who's not drunk. He's just hungover, who they pay to get in the ring. And there's a slow progression up before they actually set them up against a real fighter who could potentially win. Because see, the fighter has to learn to trust the coach in the corner. The fighter has to create endurance. The fighter has to learn how to counterpunch and how to defend and how to attack and footwork and endurance. There's all these pieces that come into play. But in that slow progression of working them up towards something big, they create the ultimate potential for that person. Now, obviously, not everybody can be a champion in everything, but they'll find out what level they can go to if somebody works them in a realistic way. We have to remember, Jesus had 3.5 years, 24/7 with grown men, not 13-year-olds, not 14-year-olds. No, these were grown men. And so what they had already achieved in life, what they had already experienced, attained, all those things came into play, and yet it still took them 3.5 years to get them ready to begin the life they were called to live. We don't have them 24/7. We're going to have them limited amounts of times unless we really work hard at creating opportunities to have them. But in the course of that disciple making, of seeing them move forward in a stability life with Christ, remember, hurt, healing, healthy. That determines the starting point and the pace.